This is the Town of Woodridge Board of Finance monthly meeting for Thursday, May 19th, 2022. The first item on our agenda is public comments. Karen, do we have anything?
I did not receive any.
Okay. Then the next item is budget adjustments and to set the mill rate. I believe that is Mr. Genovese.
Yes. Thank you, Matt.
Okay.
So I want to take you through something. Just give me 1 second. So I presented some documents for you that I wanted to review. The first is our state grant revenue. Do you see that? It's in your package. It's budget adjustments, it says.
Oh, yeah, state budget adjustments, impact on Woodridge, yeah.
Right. So those are the those are the final budget numbers for the general fund. And we budgeted accurately for all those items, except for the municipal transition grant. You'll see it's a little over $1 million. It's a little over $1 million. That's the grant. It's about 2/3 of the way down the page. It says municipal transition grant. And that's the grant that the state is giving us for putting a cap on the property tax for cars. And that's for motor vehicles, it's 32.46. So I just wanted to show you that we received it. We received $1 million extra in grant revenue for that purpose.
Okay. Yeah.
So the next page are the tax calculations that were presented at the town meeting.
Okay.
And you'll see we have the tax that needs to be raised is a little under $50 million, $49,997,487.
Yes.
You see that?
Yeah.
And a mill rate of 43.49.
Okay.
If we institute the cap for the car tax, what we have, that's the next one. I wanted to show you sort of before and after. We essentially put another $1 million into our revenues, which brings down the amount to be raised in taxes by $1 million to $48,987,614.
Right.
That's because we're adding $1 million into intergovernmental revenue.
Okay.
Okay. Now, in order to cap the motor vehicle at 32.46, the way it was supposed to work was that the state would give us the difference so that we did not have to raise the mill rate on real property, right? So we would be able to stay at, 43.49 and have a lower mill rate for autos. That was what that grant revenue was intended for. That it was not enough. So in order to be able to balance the budget, we have to raise the mill rate on real property, which would be real estate and personal property, to 43.77. Right. So we have to raise it another 0.28 mils in order to balance. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So that's where the shortfall is. So it's not really a shortfall in terms of total revenue, but it's causing us to raise our mill rate on our property, on real estate and more in personal property, which is we're sort of where that shortfall is. So this would be the what you would have to set in order to to take into account the lower mill rate on motor vehicles. So what I did is put together the next page is comparison for the average. This is the average residential property, which is $287,000 assessment, which is about a little over $400,000 value. This is as of when we did reval, not now, but when we did reval, which was 2019 in October. You'll see the first, and then you have two autos, which is the average auto assessment. So you'll see that with no tax cap, the average this scenario would be a taxes amounting to $13,724. With the auto caps, $13,489. You'll see the residential property goes up slightly, and the autos go down. And so this person actually pays $200 less in taxes,
Right.
but more for the house,
Yeah,
less for the cars.
right.
I thought this was a good way to illustrate it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
And my fear, of course, is that the $1 million will disappear eventually.
What do you mean disappear?
Well, they gave it to us this year, but next year,
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, then they gotta tell us that so we can go back to the old way.
right? So we'll see. But for this year, we have this would be the scenario. So hopefully that makes sense. But
Well, Beth was saying she spoke to Senator Cabrera about this and he's gonna look into it. Are you there, Beth? I don't see Beth. Beth?
Hold my breath, but maybe.
Right, I don't see. Okay.
She's muted, so.
I don't think Susan either.
No, Susan's here.
She's here.
Okay. All right, so Tony, do we need to make a, do we need to make a motion for this new mill rate of,
I would make a motion.
43.77?
43.77, 32.46 for motor vehicles.
Okay. That's it.
Yep.
Okay. I will make a motion that we set a mill rate for the town of Woodridge for fiscal year, July 1, 2022 through June 30th, 2023 of 43.77 mils for residential property and 32.46 mils for automobiles.
Second. Oh, I second that one.
That's fine. Any discussion or questions for Tony?
I just want to say, Tony, thank you for the explanation. It was very clear, and particularly for that, the savings and the additional costs, so that when people ask about it, we've got the numbers right in front of us. I think we really need that. So
Right.
it was helpful.
Okay. You're welcome.
Okay. So let's have a vote. I'm yes. Ellen?
Yes.
Dwight?
Yes.
Donovan, are you there?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Tom Handler's not here, is he?
I don't see him.
Okay.
No, it doesn't look like it.
So then it's unanimous 5-0. Okay. Item 3 is Administrative Officer, Director of Finance Report. Tony, still you.
Okay. So the report for ending April 2022 is a year-end surplus of a little over $700,000. This includes a $400,000 fund balance allocation, so it would be an actual increase to our fund balance of $325,000. We'd be at $7 million, or 13.66% of our annual expenses. A couple of items for your to contributed to that. One is the Intergovernmental Revenue was a majority of the surplus. We had $163,000 in FEMA funds from a previous storm. We received $15,000 in pilot funds we weren't aware we were going to receive. That was for this year. We did budget for it next year. And the Board of Education did an excellent job with their excess cost grant, and we had to have a surplus there of $255,000 for that. So that's a majority of where that comes from on the revenue side. We did have some good experience in our building permits, which was $200,000 surplus there. Over half of that is from the water authority construction that they're doing. So that's where a lot of that comes from. And we have an investment income deficit of about $80,000. On our expenditure side, we have a surplus in the building official line. That's a $30,000. We had some savings and wages in that account. In the transfer station, we had been watching that carefully, and we're running probably a deficit in the municipal solid waste line slightly. But what has happened is appears that we're going to have a surplus in bulky waste. It's gone down the last 2 months since we've instituted the tonnage charge. We've seen a reduction in our bulky waste compared to previous years. So that's interesting. Like this, for instance, in April, monthly charge was usually averages about $6,000. If you look back previous years, $6,500, and it was a little under 4,000. It was like $3,800. So you'll see there's a difference in April. So we'll see if that pans out. Also in recycling, we've seen reduced costs. Some of the commodities that we recycle are increasing in value. We're also separating out glass, which it's currently a voluntary program, but we're seeing some positive results there. Human Services has a surplus of $35,000 due to savings in wages, and library is same surplus. Both of those primarily relate to bringing back programming as a result of COVID, and they had budgeted probably a little more than that was necessary because the programs came back a little later, I think, in some cases. So, or not completely, but they're back now, and so there's a slight surplus in both of those departments. Is there any questions or?
Okay.
Matt, could I raise something that's not directly on point, but it comes up here? So, as we get this report every month and includes our fund balance and, how we do our budgeting. And I know with this Amity referendum, a question has arisen about some aspect of Amity's budgeting. And I know, at least what I've read about it in part has to do with the fact that they can't have a fund balance. And I just wanted to ask, I think it would be useful for us and for the town. Do you think maybe as we prepare for next year's budget, could we ask Tony or ask Amity to come and give us a really in-depth explanation of this process? I know you understand it, Matt, but I'll just be
not entirely.
I don't quite get it, and I think the controversy arose at a very unfortunate time because you can't just sort of jump in on something like this. But I think it would be really helpful if we could dig a little deeper into it, and if the board would consider that, and if Tony could do it and help us really understand it, and then we can help other people understand it as well.
Yeah, we could certainly do that.
I can reach out to Terry, and we can.
Yeah, Terry would be the one probably to explain it. Oh, and Dr. Byers too. But it's a very controversial subject, as you know. It's the reason, I think, one of the reasons their budget got voted down, and by the way, they're having another budget. They haven't been publicizing this, but I understand there's another referendum Tuesday.
Yep.
Tony, do you know what they changed? Because I tried desperately to find. Would you believe a member of the finance committee, and I couldn't find out what they changed. They didn't let me know.
I don't know. I just know it was in total. I just got the totals. I didn't receive the detail.
Okay, when I do my Amity liaison report, you could maybe give us that figure.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, that's when I should have brought this up. Sorry, but it's been on my
No, that's all right. That's all right.
balance, reminded me.
Okay, so that's it for that, Tony. Our Woodridge Board of Ed, Tom would have done that, but he's not with us. I think there's a surplus about 20 or 30,000, Tony, is that right?
That's right. I didn't put that in my calculations, but that's correct.
Okay. Well, this question came up, so I might as well ask you. Obviously, Amity's budget has gone down, and so we're going to be getting more money from them, but that's too late for us because we set the budget tonight, so that's going to go into the general fund, Tone?
So what'll happen is we'll receive, the final number, whatever that is. Right now, it's about $67,000 less if the one on the 24th is approved. We'll just send them what's approved, and then that line will have a surplus in it. At the end of the year, that surplus will go into our general fund balance, and you can use that when factoring your budget for next year. You can increase the allocation from fund balance if you want by that much. Part of the issue with that is come up here is, every year we budget money for a surplus from Amity. This year it's over $600,000. I don't know what it's going to be for next year, if anything. So
It'll be interesting.
I don't know if you know that, Matt. Have you heard anything about?
They're currently running $1 million surplus, but it always climbs at the end of the year. But then they've got this this, thought that they want to take 2% of the surplus,
Right, for capital.
2% of the budget
Right.
as a capital and non-recurring, which is a lot of money. It's like $1 million. So there'll be more to come. You know, they're not happy about all this budget surplus stuff, so we'll see what they do. But it's very, very controversial. And I'll mention it more in my liaison report. Okay, that's that. This department budget history, Tony, you want to say anything about that, or is it just an FYI?
So I do want to say something about that. This was presented at the Board of Selectmen meeting. It came out of our discussions with the strategic plan, and I thought it would be helpful for you to see this. This is a history of our budget from 2015 to 2023. So you can see that if you look at the top section, over that time period, the town has gone up 5.1. Now, this doesn't account for the surplus funds returned from Amity. These are just expenditures.
Okay.
And the reason why I picked this is because this is a planning document that was made each year by all three, you know, all the departments and the two boards of education. So the fact that they return money back, yes, that's true. But at the time, this is what the mill rate was set on, you know, for expenditures. So anyway, the town is up 5.19%. Amity is up 29.83. Woodridge Board of Education is 25.86. If you factor in the surplus there, that's probably lower, but it just gives you an idea of, you know, where the town's priorities have been in over that time period. You can see if you break down further by function, each of the town's major functions. For instance, general government is 6%, public safety is 18%, public works 9%. So you could see the various departments and who's increased over that and who hasn't. I thought you'd find it helpful. That was it.
You know? All right, let's move on to funding requests.
Matt,
Yes,
I'm gonna go ahead and leave now, but you have enough people to vote on it, correct? On the funding request?
we do.
You just lost Matt.
We do.
Okay, then I'm gonna say goodnight.
Right, Sue.
Do you hear me? People hear me?
I can hear you. Yep.
Okay. It's a little messed up tonight. Okay. All right. So the funding request in front of us is Public Works, and it's to address shortage in the overtime account and in vehicle parts account due to snowstorms, and it's a $15,000 transfer within the department. So I'm going to move acceptance of line item transfer 2122-14 in the amount of $15,000.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on this? Okay. All in favor? I'm yes. Donovan?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
And Dwight?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. That's the only funding request. Next is approval of minutes.
Matt?
Yes.
I just want to bring one thing. I just want to bring something to your attention. It's funding request issue, but it's not on the agenda this evening. If you recall, we had a number of capital projects that were reduced, were eliminated from the budget, and that we would use for contingency, and we'll present those to you in June.
June. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Very good.
Okay.
Okay. So then before us, we have the minutes of the April 21st monthly meeting, and I will move acceptance of the minutes of April 21st as presented.
Second.
Any corrections, adjustments, anything at all on these minutes? Okay, hearing none. I'm yes. Ellen?
Yes.
Donovan?
Yes.
Dwight?
I abstain. I wasn't here.
Okay. And Susan's with us. So did I get 4? Me, Dwight,
Yes.
Donovan? Yeah, okay. All right, good. So it's 3:01. All righty. Appointment of auditor. Tony?
We would like to appoint RSM as our auditor for the next fiscal year. By state statute, we have to do that in OPM regulations by June 1st.
Okay.
They're in I think year 2 of a 4-year bid.
Okay. So then I'll move acceptance of or I'll move that we appoint RSM as our auditors for fiscal year, this would be 2021, 2022?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll second.
Second, Dwight. Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye, yes. Dwight,
Yes.
Donovan,
Yes.
Ellen.
Yes.
Okay. Next is the preliminary suspense list. I'm sure we all know what this is. By state statute, we have to move certain items onto what's called a suspense list, so that they basically come off our balance sheet, but we don't make them go away. We continue trying to collect them, and in fact, they do collect them. So if you read what Pat Crisco says these accounts will be transferred to suspense and will be removed from consideration as assets of the town. These are older ones, that's why. But they are not abated as a tax liability against whom it is levied. Personal property, motor vehicle, and residence real estate suspense taxes can and will be collected whenever possible. Certainly real estate, they put a lien on the property. So if and when the property is sold, they collect it. So I would move.
Plane?
I don't know what that was. Yeah, it just went by my house.
Very low flying plane. I
Yeah, it just went by my house. What the heck is that?
My
Oh.
door just shook.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was my guy cutting the lawn, but I looked outside. He's not here.
Well, here. Sorry, guys.
Wow. Okay, so I am going to make a motion that we accept the preliminary suspense list as presented by our tax collector, Pat
No,
Crisco.
we don't need a motion. We'll do the motion next month.
Okay, next month? All right, so we have a chance to look it over.
Yeah, this is just preliminary.
Okay, good. Oh, I see. Okay, good. Preliminary. So then we can go to the first selectman's report.
Thank you, Matt. Couple real quick things. Late last month, Governor Lamont, following an approved proposal from the state legislators, signed new legislation into law allowing continuation of remote meetings past the original deadline of April 30th. Just to let you know, boards and commissions may choose to meet in person or remotely. I'm so pleased that especially now when the COVID-19 positivity rate is very high, we do continue to have the ability to be flexible and meet virtually when it is prudent to do so. And we're just at 14 today, continues to spike. I have an update on the 2 new building committees that I appointed. As I told you last month, we've gotten several state grants. It's nice to have shovel-ready projects when the state calls up and says we have money. So we were lucky a couple times here. The membership of the Woodridge Community Center Building Committee is going to be Bob Tucker, former Selectman Sandy Stein, who will serve as chair, and current Rec Commission Chair Andrea Weinstein. Tony Genovese, or his designee, he says, will serve as staff rep. So they've already had one meeting, so that's good. That's for the community center. $2 million for that. And secondly, the membership of the Center Building Renovation Committee, which I said last month, is Police Chief Frank Cappiello, Police Commissioner Andy Esposito, Human Services Director Jeanette Glicksman, Selectman Paul Kyriakos, and Board of Finance member Dwight Rowland, who has agreed to serve as chair. And hopefully in the next, sometime soon, we can have something shovel ready. No pressure, Dwight. But if we get some funds, we care about funds, we can certainly go after them. That's how we do it these days. And just lastly, I don't know if maybe I should save this for the Board of Ed. Do you guys all know that Dr. Budd resigned and took another position?
Yes.
Superintendent of Beecher Road School. So I just let the Board of Selectmen know that we wish him well in his new position. And he will be resigning, I believe, as of his last day is June 30th. And that's all I have.
Okay. Liaison reports, Amity, needless to say, we're all aware that the budget was voted down. And again, we went to the meeting, I went to the Board of Ed, the Finance meeting and the Board of Ed meeting, not this past Monday, the Monday before. And it wasn't even on our agenda to discuss it. It's bizarre. There's some bizarre stuff going on in Amity, I gotta be honest with you. And so I said at the end of the meeting, I said, can I ask you a question? Why aren't we discussing the failed budget referendum? And they just looked at me like what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is, we're the finance committee, so. But the love affair, in my opinion, I think the love affair with Amity is over. As you saw by the vote, it was 64 to 36 against. And I'll tell you more about the meeting that occurred after that when the public came in to discuss the budget with them. And so there's about $1 million surplus currently there, and I don't know what's going to happen beyond this, but there is a lot of dissatisfaction. A lot of people are mentioning that they read the report by Jim Leahy and Orange about the surpluses and this and that, and how Orange requested a 0.41% increase. And that's a possibility. I have a feeling, I tried to tell him, I said, you really need to take this on because this could get a life of its own. I was around with the early 2020 and 2001, and people get fired up about this, and I don't know what's going to happen. But so anyway, let's move on then. I went to the Board of Ed meeting and public comments. There were a lot of people there, many from Woodridge, who I know very well. I'm not mentioning any names. Very, very well-respected people who were there, and I think all of them have no kids in Amity, but they were there to talk about this diversity position and how opposed they are to it. That and the budget being too high and the board not listening to the people. It was a very, very I want to use the right word here, contentious meeting. There wasn't a lot of positives. There was no positives, actually. Some kids got up there, some students got up there towards the end and started saying it was positive, but there was one gentleman from Orange got up and he quoted statute after statute after statute, numbered that they've violated, that Amity has violated in their handling of different matters, et cetera, et cetera. It was highly critical, and quite frankly, to report it, I mean, many of the people said they think that the superintendent should resign. I just heard today that the principal of Amity High School resigned. She's going to Brookfield, I believe, and she's very, very popular. Anna Mahon is her name, very popular. She's leaving. They hired a new assistant superintendent. So, based on what Tony tells me, it looks like they cut about $200,000 from the budget if we're getting 60. And I don't know that that's the reason that people came out, is the money. I think it's some of the diversity positions and some of the things they've security guards, and there was a whole bunch of things they mentioned that they were not in favor of. So, and many of them said they're going to urge their friends and whatever to vote against this budget. So I don't know. I have a funny hunch that Tuesday is going to be a tough pass too, but we'll see. It's please, if you're out there, vote. Either way, just make sure you get out and vote. So, but it was not a very pleasant meeting. There was a lot of criticism of the board and of the superintendent, and they got an earful, I'm sure. But it doesn't look like they have addressed that one position. But we'll see. Like I said, I called, I left a message, I emailed to get me the details of what was changed. I mean, I'm on the finance committee. I think I should be told that, but never happened. Never got it. As of today, never got it, so.
Matt, can I ask you a question? When you said the meeting of the finance committee, is that the 3 town representatives and
3 board members.
of the board?
3 members of the board, 3 members of the town. There's 6 of us. So
it was the 6 of you that were together.
Plus the finance director, plus the superintendent, plus, we meet an hour before the regular meeting.
Okay, thank you.
All righty. Let's see. Ellen, why don't you continue if you have anything?
Well, I don't, the police commission didn't meet because there was a conflict with our annual town meeting, so there hasn't been a meeting. But while I have the floor, I just want to remind everyone, maybe Dwight was going to say this, but or Donovan, don't forget the Woodridge Volunteer Fire Department Spring Fling Saturday night. tell your friends, and everybody should turn out and be there.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I
I
just had,
don't even know what it is. I never heard of it.
oh, Matt, you could dance the night away.
Oh, where's it at? At Woodridge Club or at the firehouse?
No, it's at the firehouse.
Okay.
Runners, and the rum runners are coming to play music.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it's gonna be a pretty good evening.
Okay. Continue on, Dwight.
I couldn't attend a rec meeting last month because I was away, but I did attend Human Services on May 9th. Youth Services, the first select is going to Ava Shambroom, I guess, and a volunteer tea event is going to be held on June. She'll be awarded the plaque by Beth, I'm assuming. They did a home alone class they held on April 12th for kids ages 9 through 12, and they had about 12 to 14 students attend. They had a sixth grade event at the middle school on April 1st for all the sixth graders going into seventh grade. And then they held an eighth grade event at Amity High School for all the students going into high school, well, including Orange, back in April as well. On the senior center, they stated that Woodridge is still in a red zone, as Beth mentioned, for the entire month of April. Anybody coming must be fully masked while there. They had a spring luncheon on April 14th, where they served 91 lunches. They did a Mother's Day luncheon on May 5th, which was and they served 95 lunches. And then a driver for their program, they were short a driver for quite a while, but it looks like they've hired a driver, which will definitely help them. You know, a lot of the seniors get around and pick them up. On Human Services, they have the test kits and masks available there. So if anybody needs them, you know, now that it is spiking, they have them available. You can pick it up. Ask the Pharmacist. They're doing an event on June 9th, which for seniors and people in town can send in information on their medication, and then they can ask questions to pharmacists or address their questions and concerns on the medications they're taking. I thought that was pretty nice. And then they're happy that the ARPA approved funding for the new HVAC upgrades at the senior center for $275,000 was approved. Looks like that's going ahead, and they hope to go out to bid within the next month or two for the renovation of their space. And that's about it.
Okay, thank you. Donovan, anything?
I didn't make the meeting on Monday. We had a conflict. It was the same day for our meeting.
Okay. Unfortunately, Tom is not here. I think if I remember correctly, Karen, you said something he had to get his daughter at the airport and he might be in his car. Do you remember that?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
what
I
he
guess-
said, but he said he should be back in time.
Yeah, I guess he didn't make it, so. But as long as he's not here, I want to discuss the Woodridge Board of Education, if I might. I was hoping to do it with him, and what I want to discuss is several concerns about what's going on at Beecher Road School. We approved, and you know, I was not in favor of it, but I go along with the team, but we approved an increase of 7.5%, which is more than double what Amity's getting, and from what I've seen, it's the highest increase of any Board of Education that has reported it in the newspaper. So they're getting a very, very large increase. My concern is pretty obvious. We are not going to have a superintendent. The architect of this plan is going to be gone, and there were significant hirings to be done with this budget, which probably should be taking place after June 30th when he leaves. We also don't have a finance director. I mean, I don't know if this gentleman is staying, but I've never seen an interim finance director go a whole year, and they never replaced him. And we also, I understand, the special services director resigned, and she's gone, as well as numerous other positions. There's been quite a turnover of personnel at Beecher Road School. So my concern is obvious. On July 1st, they get this rather large increase. Who's gonna administer this? Is this interim superintendent gonna just carry on the plan that was formulated by our current superintendent? Who's gonna be handling the finances? Do they have a finance director? So there's a lot of question marks at Beecher Road School, and to be honest with you, I honestly believe that when we were negotiating with them on this budget, they must have known that he was leaving. I don't think it just happened, but from what I can gather. And yet we moved on as though he was going to be here to handle this plan of his. So just want to go on record. I'm really concerned about where we're going to be going with Beecher Road School, considering the utter lack of leadership over there in 6 or 7 weeks. So just want to go on record. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak to that?
Matt, I'll just say, I did hear that the interim superintendent is someone who has been here as an interim before and is very well respected and capable. I don't know that myself.
Yeah.
That's what I heard, so maybe that gives you some comfort, but certainly a major change in administration is always of concern.
It's not. Yeah. I mean, it's not just the superintendent. It's two of the. I mean, the principal superintendent, finance director, and special service. Those are 4. We're losing 3 of them. So that's pretty significant. At a time when we're turning over an awful lot of money to them. So, okay. Anything else anybody like to say?
Are those internal? I wonder. It's surprising how quickly they find a new acting superintendent. Is
Yeah.
it someone internal, I guess.
No, I'm trying to remember who they had the last time.
Somebody who had done this before for them. I don't recall her name. I wasn't really familiar with it, but someone who people, I think, respected and felt she did a very good job before. So she's not entirely new to Beecher.
I think it was Christine Syriac
Yes, that's it.
took over when
Yeah.
Bob Gilbert left for a bit, and she covered until Dr. Bud started.
And that's another point. I mean, the last 2 superintendents have lasted a combined maybe 5 years, maybe after we had Guy Stella. I mean, so hopefully we can pick somebody who's going to stay. We can't keep losing people after 2 years. It doesn't work. But neither can you guarantee they're going to stay. So, but let's see. It's not. I'm worried. I mean, quite frankly, I'm worried about Beecher Road School. What's going to happen there? But we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, Tony's going to be, unfortunately, getting a lot of feedback and whatever as to what's going on. But we'll see. Okay. Anything else?
No.
All right. Hearing none, I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, everybody, have a good Memorial Day, and we'll see you in June.
Thank you, Matt.
All right.
Okay, bye. Thank you.
Take care.
Aye.
Bye-bye.